But in the blink of an eye, they got on what you got. That means I'm a bop.
Let's hear it for the boys.
We're live.
Boys.
Let's hear it for
The good boys.
the good boys. Welcome to PDT.
Pretty
It's a
dank
pod.
thumbs.
Pretty dank thumbs. Yeah, pretty dank thumbs. I got pretty dank thumbs.
Please don't Taco Bell.
Please don't
there's a
Taco
comma
Bell.
in there. It's please don't
comma,
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell. It's an address to Taco Bell. All right, welcome to PDT podcast. Torin just dropped some dank Taco Bell on the toilet.
Thanks for telling everyone. But I did.
I'm not gonna edit that out, though.
I actually think I gained a belt loop or a belt like.
Oh yeah.
A belt hole.
Nice.
After
Awesome.
that. Yeah.
Thanks, Taco Bell.
Yeah. So sorry, basement bathroom.
It's all right. You can thank me later.
Most of it's gone.
Not going to the basement for 3 days.
Most of it's gone.
That's quarantine.
Just blame it
zone
on your
now.
dogs, man. I know I will.
It was the Dougies.
They pooped in that toilet.
Yeah.
Good boy.
They've become sentient and pooped in the toilet. I mean, they're
They already
already
are
kind of sentient. Yeah.
I mean, half.
This is
They're pretty
this is
dumb.
wrong.
Yeah, we should talk about like good things.
Yeah. First order of business. What's up?
Stories from the week, is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
What's
stories
on the
from week.
brain? Stories from the week.
Oh,
Graham,
what's
still
on-
getting more phone calls from your baby?
Actually,
baby mama's
no.
friend?
Okay,
From
so
your baby daddy?
just today, I got a phone call from a jail somewhere in Jacksonville, and then it said you've received a call from, and then it gave the spot where the guy could actually record his name, but in the space allotted where he could record his name, it just sounded like you've received a call from. Yeah. And so I had no idea who it was. And then I got a text from a phone number, 904 area code, which is Jacksonville. It says,
You were just gonna give the number.
it says, or baby daddy say put some money on the phone and come bond him out. Again, your baby daddy say put some money on the phone and come bond him out.
Should we? Have,
And I just said, this is the wrong number. This
Should
is
we-
Graham.
should we have like a
And then,
very
hold
proper
on, but
reading
the
of-
update, what you haven't heard yet, is that they did respond to that. They said, okay, sorry, that message from Perch. P-E-R-C-H. So, Perch, if you're
You guys
out
know
there
Perch
and you're
in
in jail, I'm
Jacksonville.
sorry. I can't help you.
You've called the wrong.
You've called the wrong number.
How, I find it funny how Perch was expected to be gotten from.
Yeah,
Hey,
I'm not
Perch,
sure.
If you contact the PDT podcast, we'll send you a shirt in jail.
Don't
Yeah.
promise that. We don't want to be connected to a prison.
I want to be connected to a prison.
Prison? Do. Talk.
What's the worst thing about prison?
I mean, I don't
It's the Dementors.
It's a Dementus.
The
know.
Dementors.
You mean like in Harry Potter?
Yeah.
No, I mean,
Yeah,
Harry
I mean,
Potters.
yeah.
I mean,
John E.
yeah.
Good Pretrial Detention Facility. John E. Goody. That's what it was.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I did a Google.
You did a dang Google.
All right, what else?
I'm leaving on Friday to drive up to New York to be in my buddy's. I almost said funeral. It's the opposite of that. It's
Something-
a wedding.
something.
Well, I guess
Hold
it's
on.
not technically the
Yeah, I
opposite
was
of
gonna
that.
say the opposite of a funeral is a wedding.
No,
it be
I
a
guess
divorce?
the opposite of
Hope
a funeral is probably a
A birth.
birth. But the only thing
You're
that I
going to
could,
your buddy's birth.
yeah, I'm going to my buddy's birth or maybe baptism.
And the opposite of a wedding would be a divorce, right?
Yeah, I'm going to my buddy's divorce. It's
Yeah.
gonna be great. No, he's
single.
getting married to
Now.
this lady who's very cool. Who I've known both of them for a while. Driving up to New York, And I don't know. That's it.
Gonna meet their
Kids
kids.
fun. They don't have kids yet.
They look like they have kids.
I mean, John looks like a dad, straight up.
Having seen the one picture of them on that fridge, I agree. It looks like they have like 3 kids.
Ask them how their minivan is.
Yeah, I'll ask him about the minivan. All right, so that's been my week. I don't have anything else.
I had a pretty uneventful week.
Classes are done, so.
Yeah, so it's been a lot of staying at home and doing nothing.
Yer.
AKA playing Overwatch.
I mean, I wasn't going to say it, but yeah, you're super right.
I mean, I've been doing it too.
Yeah, unfortunately, me too.
Well,
So
How about
Overwatch
you, T
update
Donkey?
sucks.
Yeah, the Overwatch update is. I
Really
like
bad.
the skins.
they're
But-
very anime.
Yeah, that's what I like about
They're
it.
super kawaii.
Kawaii desu.
Right.
Kawaii
This week, after like 3 tries, I got a new seat in my car.
Oh, that's right.
That was dope.
You want to vent about that a little bit?
Not really.
Okay.
There isn't much to vent about because it's not like I'm really, really mad.
Right.
I'm just like the seat, the driver's seat in the car that I consistently drive broke. It basically disconnected from the front, and so it was basically just like a rocking chair. And so we got a new seat on Monday, I think. So we took it to an automotive shop, and they said, we found a seat, we'll get it in on Tuesday, and we'll put it in, and you'll be good to go. And it won't be that expensive, which I was very grateful for. So we go, so they call on like Saturday and say, hey, it turns out we'll have it in by Monday, come in and we'll switch it out.
And we'll do the dang deed.
Right. And so we went to the place on Monday, and they discovered that not only was it the wrong seat, but whoever sent it apparently sent it in like a gigantic pool of water, so it was just like soaking wet. And so they're like, so we're
I
gonna
didn't know
order
that was water.
We're gonna order another seat, and it'll be here on Wednesday. And so we're like, okay. So me and my dad and I went back today, this afternoon, and they put in the new seat, and it took like 45 minutes. They put in the new seat, and we paid, and we left. And then as I was driving, I realized that there was a light on in the dashboard, and an indicator that wasn't previously lit up. And so,
Indicating that they'd turned your car into a bomb.
close.
Oh.
Oh, Lord.
Pretty much, even though we were driving, it didn't register that anyone was in the driver's seat. Because there's a sensor in the seat that says, there's a person in this seat. If the car were to crash, we will activate the airbag. The indicator said, there is no one in this seat. If you crash, don't deploy the airbag. That would be a waste. And so...
And this is the driver's seat.
Right, this is the driver's seat, not the passenger seat. We wouldn't have gotten it fixed for the passenger seat. This is the driver's seat. So we
Just
took
in
it back.
case a car is in a crash while
So-
there's no driver.
By the way, this whole thing, we had like turned out of the place, and I noticed the light, and I turned to my dad and I say, "Has that light always been on?" And he's like, "What light?" And I point directly at it, and he leans over and he goes, "That light?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that light,
That one.
that one." And I point to it again, and he goes, "No, that one used to be off." And I was like, "Yeah, that's what I'm saying."
Used to be,
That's
the not
That's
on
the
word?
problem that I'm saying, is that now it's on. It should be off. And he said, "Yeah, it should be off." And I'm like, "Well, could you check in the owner's manual?" And he's like, "It should be off, shouldn't it? I wonder if they didn't do something right." And I was like, "Yeah, can you check in the owner's manual, please?" And he was like, okay. And so he started.
Is your dad's name Kevin?
No, I
Oh.
wish. No, I don't.
Then both of our parents would
Yeah,
have the same name.
That's true. We'd be brothers from sort of the same parents.
Yeah.
Which doesn't rhyme.
No. Sorry.
But he gets out the owner's manual from the glove compartment and like fiddles through it. And I'm like driving and glancing over the whole time, and I'm telling him where to go because apparently he doesn't know how to navigate an owner's manual. And I finally point to the symbol, and he reads, if this light, after starting the car, blinks, does not turn on, or remains on, that means that the airbag is not ready to deploy. And by the time my dad figured all of this out, with my help, apparently, even though I was driving, we were pretty much home. And so we were like, let's turn around.
Go back to
So
the
we
place.
drove all the way back, and we said, hey, here's the issue. And they said, well, we can either get a brand new seat, which will take days, or we can try and see if we can get the sensor from the old seat into the new one. And so we gave over the keys and waited an additional 45 minutes. And then finally, we drove away with the seat that's covered in, like, junkyard grease or something.
Junkyard grease.
Let's talk about Junkyard Wars.
Yeah, let's talk about Junkyard Wars.
I missed that show.
I missed that show a lot. It was really great. Alright, I'm done talking about it.
don't
So
do
what's
that.
the next order of business now that we're done talking about Junkyard Wars? Because all I had to say about it was that I missed it. That's all there is really to say.
Punkin' Chunkin'.
Punkin' chunkin'.
That was one of the events for Junkyard Wars.
Punkin' chunkin'.
Where people build robots that
It's not really robots. They're given like a task,
so people build machines.
sort of. It's
People
like,
build things. That's
Yeah,
the right
pretty much.
Things. What things? Yes.
We saw Alien Covenant.
Alien Covenant was
Sorry. Alien Covenant.
Alien Covenant.
Ugh.
Yeah, I feel bad too.
It was the sequel, sort of sequel to Prometheus, which was a total garbage movie.
Yeah, it was real.
Prometheus
bad.
was really bad, but I actually super enjoyed Alien Covenant.
Yeah.
It's not like the greatest movie ever made, but it's
No.
enjoyable.
Right, like we were discussing after we watched it, like, okay, for one, the sort of like proto spoiler alert. If you
Let's
want to
just say
see
now,
Alien Covenant,
There's going to be spoilers in this explanation.
right?
So if you're going to go see Alien Covenant and you would not like to be spoiled, skip ahead a bit until we're done talking about Alien Covenant.
Right. Yes.
We could
okay.
put like a timestamp maybe, or we could just not bother and you guys could figure it out.
Probably the latter, but we should it would be courteous to do the former.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But whatever.
But if you haven't watched it by the time we actually put this up, it's more on you than it is on me.
Next week.
Yeah, next week. Okay, so anyway, now that the spoiler alert has been
Hey, while you're doing that, publish the 4th episode.
Yeah, we're going to do that later.
cool. So there's this, you know, the birth. We kind of see the birth of the xenomorph in this movie, in Alien Covenant, and really, I think that the sort of proto xenomorph, the sort of incarnation that comes right before the fully evolved xenomorph or whatever it is,
the white one.
yeah, the white. It's
The really creepy looking one.
Ghostly,
Yeah, like
skeletal.
I think
thing.
It
they're
is
far more intimidating.
so much more horrifying than the regular xenomorph.
But I feel like that's because xenomorphs are known.
That's entirely possible.
We should also preface with this with saying that before we went and saw Alien Covenant, we watched Alien, Aliens, and Prometheus.
And we only stopped there because we didn't think the Alien 3 or Alien Resurrection or Alien vs. Predator movies were necessarily relevant to the canon.
We're probably going to go back to Alien 3,
Yeah.
but Alien Resurrection is not worth wasting time on. We might watch it, but it'll be for the funsies, not for the paying attention.
Probably be
scenes.
playing a drinking game.
Yeah, it'll be dope. After watching Alien, Aliens, and Prometheus, especially Aliens, looking at a xenomorph, like, is a joke.
It becomes a little old hat.
Right. Especially because after Aliens, you've seen xenomorphs get slaughtered by, like, the hundreds.
Also,
Right.
xenomorphs, for like, it seems like they can move quickly, but for the most part, they prefer to just walk at a calm pace. Where these proto-xenomorphs seem to, like, take off in a full blitz after
Jeez,
something.
They were
Right.
so quick.
And then,
Yeah.
when they're done with what they're doing, they sit back and they're like, that was fun.
Right.
And they just kind of sit there, and all
Yeah.
the gore that surrounds them,
Right.
like
God.
they've enjoyed it, and then you're like, Oh my gosh!
It was shocking.
These things like killed to eat, which
Yeah.
is different. Because xenomorphs in Alien and Aliens
Oh,
just
that's
kill
right.
to kill.
Yeah,
they kill and
They're
then they
hunting
string you up
machines.
on a wall.
And I think the
leave.
creepiest thing was that the protomorphs, as you've called them, would kill something and then eat it. Which is like...
Not what we're used to.
Right, which makes it even more bestial.
Yeah, it is.
Because it makes us seem
extra
more like
bestial,
prey
for sure.
than just like, I'm being hunted. It's like, you're not being hunted. You're being hunted to be freaking
Right.
Right.
And I feel like initially with the Alien movies, when the xenomorphs like first came out as like oh no, these things are just hunting you because they love killing. Like
Right.
that's really scary.
Right.
But now that we're so familiar with xenomorphs, like this new kind of
This
I
thing
don't know.
that sort of resembles a xenomorph, but isn't
but
really.
it's so much scarier to
Yeah.
me. Oh,
They're-
dude,
they
like,
seem a lot quicker. To me, they seemed more dangerous. Where I feel like it took about 8 or so people to take down 1 or 2 proto-xenomorphs, where throughout every single Alien movie, it takes one smart person to essentially set up a trap and
Right.
kill.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is how
So-
this one ended, was them setting up a trap for the xenomorph.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I
The
I
other
want to
thing-
be able to describe. I want to be able to show a picture to the listeners of how horrifying this protomorph is. Like it with its sort of like spindly, ghostly white,
Right.
clear skin, and it's got like this little. I described it as a sphincter, which is kind of funny, but like I feel like that's probably
Yeah.
the most apt description
But with
of its
teeth.
mouth. Yeah, it like closes into this little tight hole, and then it can open up like twice the size of its
Right.
head. Jeez.
And I
Freaking
think what made it
horrifying.
another aspect of how creepy this thing was is it was kind of built like a human.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever it moved or when it sat, as long as it wasn't just standing, it did not move like a human. It ran
Right.
on all fours.
It was very
Yeah.
primal.
It was, oh, man,
Yeah.
mess you up.
Yeah, seriously.
The one thing I found interesting as far as like lore goes, because we find out that like they were engineered, the xenomorphs were, but that I don't really find all that much interesting. But the face huggers, so the guy that got the big scar on his face,
Oh, right.
at
Yeah.
the end, the face hugger was on him for like a second, and it was long enough for it to be implanted in him.
Hold
for
on
him to
though.
chest burst
Was the
later.
face hugger actually on him?
Yeah,
Yeah, it
because
jumped
it had
on
to get
him.
cut off.
Yeah,
and that's
the-
how he got the acid. on
Oh,
his face.
that's
He
right.
jumped on
That's
his
right.
face,
That's
and then
right.
I think when it curled around his neck,
Right.
I feel like anytime you've seen any of them curl around someone's neck, it's like...
That's like the locking procedure.
Right,
Like-
but it was only on for like a split second.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was
It didn't
like
take very
well
long.
which
under
means
10
that,
seconds.
Which means that it's like it's a lightning fast process.
Right. Which,
Is somehow more terrifying.
yeah.
Like from
If
a
it touches
practical
your
sense.
face, you're done.
right? if it manages to get its big slimy appendage down your throat, then you're done.
yeah, then you're done.
Right. You're gonna have a big
The words
Chest burst.
big
Is
slimy
there a?
appendage
Is the-
scarier than the
I
whole
feel like this is a really
series.
stupid question. Is there an equivalent adjective like phallic is to penis as blank is to vagina?
I mean,
I-
sure
there's
there is
gotta
one.
I
be-
used to know it. I can't remember what it is.
I can't remember what it is.
I
but
can't
like,
imagine I'd use it enough.
I
that
was
it would be worth
gonna
my time to
construct
know.
this beautiful sentence describing
I
a
don't
face
really
hugger
wanna
lunging
Google
at somebody's face with its blank appearance, throwing its with its stuff.
All its
Yeah.
stuff.
You know, the sort of stuff latches onto your
It's a
face,
real
and then it's phallic phallic object
I'm gonna point out there.
Appendage.
plunges down your
If he
throat.
implies
Yucky,
that what
sorry.
he's done is crossbreed and make all these things, he's made some things that are very remarkably close to just every kind of human genitalia.
Oh yeah.
He's a real,
Geiger,
real
like-
creep.
H.R. Geiger was a pervert.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
I don't know about a pervert, but like
No.
there was this the fixation on like reproductive organs in
Right.
the
I
Alien
think
movies.
more what it says is how terrified he is of
Could
all
be.
genitalia.
I mean, that'd be an interesting study.
If he
Like,
imagines that pregnancy means that the baby like bursts out of your chest, that's A, hilarious, and B, sad for H.R. Geiger, but screw that guy.
I feel. Well, why do you say screw him? Is there like some piece of history?
I think, if I remember correctly, when I was looking at like original concept art for Alien, it's all just penises and vaginas.
No, it's even more than made it into the movie. But I thought it was just because
very, very mentally disturbed or just a genuine pervert.
Well, I mean, or he could have just been really good at his job. Like Ridley Scott probably. I said. Oh, Ripley. Okay. Oh my gosh. I want to call Ridley Scott Ripley Scott because Ripley is in the movie.
Ripley,
anyway,
believe it or not,
Ripley
is not the right name.
Yeah. when Ridley Scott goes to him and is like, okay, give me some concept art for a horrifying alien. I want something new.
Then he just
want
sends him a
something
picture
weird.
of his penis.
And it's
And he got a dick pic.
dick pics.
This is not concept.
No, but like that is horrifying.
Like,
taking like the idea of birth and like reproduction and just like mangling it like that is really horrifying. I think he did his job.
Yeah.
And it's artful too. Like it's freaking messed up.
I feel like
HR
didn't have much to do with the artfulness. I feel like Ripley.
I've got that
Ridley Scott
banged into your brain.
all artfulness of the entire Alien franchise comes from the first two.
What?
Seamless. We're talking again.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Where were we?
You were saying there's a distinct difference between
Alien,
aliens, and then
Covenant,
Prometheus, and Covenant.
Gosh.
Sorry.
Okay.
Not
Alien
sorry
and
about
Aliens are like they're kind of artful to watch in a way. It's not really a word. You can. When I watched them, when we just shotgunned through them, I hadn't seen any of them before. I was watching them. I'm like, wow, this is done really well. I wasn't like, ooh, big, scary, spooky. But, like, it was a good watch, and it was, like, felt good to watch.
Right.
Yeah.
Ridley Scott. I feel like Ridley Scott and James Cameron, because of the technological limitations, like, leaned into it.
Yeah.
And so they're like,
I love that.
We have very little to work with. And so we're going to find all these janky ways around very little to do.
There's just inexplicably a ton of like steam.
Right,
on this
there's a bunch of
spaceship and
steam,
stuff.
which obscures the shots of the alien, which makes it all the more scary because he's unknown. I mean, I feel like the perfect horror movie, in a way, is Jaws. Because you don't see the shark for like the first hour.
Yeah.
You just know that it's there. You know that there's a shark.
Right.
You know that it's killing people. And then when you finally see the shark, you're like, oh my gosh, this is a huge shark.
The sense of dread, like
Right.
leading up to that, is pretty good. Yeah, I wish. Well, I can't speak on Jaws. Like I saw it after I've seen years of CGI, and I was like disenchanted with it.
It doesn't hold up.
Right, but the idea of that though, I can totally get behind.
And so I think now with Prometheus and Alien Covenant, where it's like, yeah, we'll pay this CGI guy, $30 and he'll animate this big garish scene that will look gorgeous, but will be very ridiculous when it comes to like CGI.
Right.
It's like
I think it's more than $30, but
no,
still.
Like
I'm kidding.
Covenant and Prometheus, I thought were a different kind of fun to watch.
Mhm.
Well,
Not Prometheus,
not
but Alien
fun to
Covenant,
watch, but
yeah.
you could watch it and get through it.
Right.
Covenant was fun to watch for the fact that it didn't feel like a horror film. It just felt like a really gory action film.
It was like a thriller.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a way. I think what made it different is instead of focusing on the art, they focused more on like distracting you about not it. In Covenant, it didn't feel like you were watching an alien movie,
Right.
because it wasn't like Alien, where like 3/4 of the film is like we're surviving an alien.
Right.
It's like here's all this other stuff happening. The alien doesn't really show up until like the last maybe fourth or less of the
Right.
film, which I
You're talking about
enjoyed.
Covenant?
Covenant,
Yeah.
I enjoyed the fact that it didn't feel like, oh, we're on a planet. There's one alien on this planet. We can't get away from it.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I think there's so much to be said about people going into Alien Covenant having an idea of how alien movies work, and so they know at some point there's going to be an alien, and so they know at some point it's just going to be there, and it's going to be scary, and it's going to be this giant killing machine, and so everyone in the crowd is like, where's it going to be? We need to look for it. And so when it's like something else, when it's the protomorph, or when it's just like sort of like these shots where it's sort of weirdly angled to make it look like there's something there, it's like, oh, that's the alien, and then it turns out to be nothing.
Yeah.
It's like the biggest troll.
What I really appreciated about it is, like you were saying with camera angles, they make you think something was there. When they coupled all the camera angles in that film, along with like the musical score, you could have a shot of two people talking, and you're sitting in your seat going, oh my god, oh my god. Oh my god. No,
it's going to be there.
No,
it's going to be there.
No, I'm not like, it's just like, and it switches to more people talking, and you're like, oh, and then those
you can't keep doing this stuff.
Yeah.
And I think the thing with Alien Covenant is that if you switched the title, the location, if you switched the title and the location, this would pretty much, and then replaced the alien with like a werewolf or a big animal, like some
big animal,
some supernatural animal of some kind,
or a ghosty.
Right. It would function fundamentally the same.
Yeah.
But I think, and some of that I appreciate because it wasn't trying to be Prometheus, where it was just like this big convoluted.
Oh man, Prometheus was so bad.
We could have a whole podcast episode about what was wrong with Prometheus.
Yeah. I mean, it was just like exposition, the movie.
Right, seriously.
Right. And so, like, I appreciate the simplicity of the plot after Prometheus, where everything was complicated. But it came across in some points as fairly generic.
Yeah.
Which I don't have a problem with. It's not amazing, but I don't hate it after watching Prometheus.
Right. Yeah, I went into... Man, the weird thing is, like, after just being a fan of the Alien franchise, going into Prometheus, I had these huge high hopes for it. I was like, oh man, it's going to be awesome. Ridley Scott, Prometheus, alien origin story, I don't know. Right. And then it was just, like...
a movie?
Not even a good movie. It was like a terrible, stupid movie about, like... It was just some crappy sci-fi movie where James Cameron, where Ridley Scott was like... let's just like throw in as much kind of aimless backstory about where these things come from as we can.
But I think if you think about when that movie came out, which was like 2012, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
It was in the dawn of the extended universe idea.
Right.
And so my guess is that he saw Alien and was like, you know what, I can make some bank off that.
It could be.
Definitely, I think.
Yeah.
And so I think Alien Covenant was an attempt to continue that, saying like, okay, we have Aliens, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, which we're not going to talk about, but we have the first 3 Alien movies, and then we can say, okay, we have these aliens, how did they get there? Okay, where do they come from? Let's work backwards.
Right.
And so they started where theoretically, I think it's just sort of like a tease is the issue. And I think that's where it wears thin. Is that I was expecting out of Prometheus to see the point where it's like, okay... And I sort of assumed that's where it was going. Where it was like, okay, Shaw takes off in the ship. We can fill in the blanks and say that somehow Shaw got this and had it mixed with this to make a xenomorph. And it landed on LV-426, which is where the alien takes place. Where Alien takes place, we can fill in those blanks. We don't really need some sort of big exposition to say where this goes. And then Alien Covenant says, "Well, actually, this is what happened."
Right.
And then it's like, okay, so you're leaving me with more questions.
Right.
How does Alien Covenant connect to Alien?
Tom did say they're going to make more movies, right?
Yeah.
I think it's 2 or 3 more. I'm thinking it's 2 though.
It just feels like a money grab.
Yeah, and that's... I'm okay with it. Like...
As long as they continue to be entertaining, I'm okay with it.
Right.
Yeah.
But until they start being like, well, after this planet, Then they went to this planet,
Right.
and it's not LV-426. And I'm
wanna
like,
know
You're like,
why
dang it! When
Ah,
is it
you
gonna be
wanna
right.
know
life on Mars.
you're leaving me with blue balls here.
I think as long as, well, I mean, they can do whatever they want with the franchise, but I will always have Alien and Aliens, and that's enough for me.
I'm gonna be honest. This is my hot take that everyone's gonna disagree with. I liked Covenant more than I liked Alien and Aliens because they were more
That is a
entertaining.
hot take.
It was more entertaining to me.
It's a
Whereas
quicker movie.
Alien and Aliens were kind of slow, but they were like beautifully done, and I
Right.
like them.
Yeah.
But then when I was watching Covenant, there wasn't a point in the movie where I was like, what time is it?
Yeah,
How long have I been watching them walk through a ship?
right.
But
I mean, that's true. Like,
They're just
Covenant
very
was
different.
wildly entertaining,
right.
as they say in trailers.
I think part of it goes with the fact that you have Alien Covenant sort of riding the coattails of Alien and Aliens a little bit.
Yeah.
Where they
I
have-
mean, the whole extended universe,
Yeah.
prequel franchise, whatever.
but it's more than just taking the IP and extending it. It's like, okay, people are going to go into this knowing what an alien is, knowing what the xenomorph is, knowing what to expect from this variety of movie. So this is what we should present them with, and we can sort of tease them with this big reveal because they know it's coming. And so if Alien and Aliens and Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection didn't exist, and we just had Prometheus and then Alien Covenant, it becomes a fairly dramatically different movie.
Oh, yeah.
Because we know, if you're looking at Prometheus and basing Alien Covenant off Prometheus, then you're saying, oh, that's that thing. So?
Right.
Right.
When-
It's more
whereas,
just
like-
oh, well, we know what happened to Shaw, we know what happened to David.
Right.
So?
Yeah. But man, even if we didn't have Alien and Aliens, it would just be like unintelligible nonsense. Like
Right.
the whole.
Yeah.
It's like, well, why did they call them xenomorphs?
Right. Well, why'd you eat snail po?
Right.
All right, let's talk about something else.
Yeah.
Uh,
We can talk about...
all right, you can tune back in. Whoop 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 whoop.
Yeah, spoilers are done. Maybe during that point you should just put like a picture of the protomorph that goes all the way through.
Yeah.
Until,
If I can
That'd
find
be
one.
scary.
Yeah.
until the point where we're done talking about Alien Covenant, which is now.
I've got something new.
Okay.
Dope.
So shout out to our friend Jason, who talked at our church Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay.
We haven't talked about this on a podcast. We all go to church because we're heckin' Christian boys.
Christian boy.
What a hot take.
Yeah, we're like the Newsboys, but very different. We don't sing.
I do, but I don't sing.
None of us are Australian.
Yeah, none of
That's
us. Or
it.
bald.
or black.
Anyway,
I mean, that's new.
anyway,
News.
Yeah.
Boys.
Boy.
B-O-I-Z.
Boys. Boys.
I was gonna bring it up. I thought his message was just like blew me out of the water, and part of that is because I haven't been to church in months because I work on Sundays.
You're a godless heathen who sells shoes.
A little bit.
Tickles when you touch my shoes. Sorry.
Anyway, as a general gist. Okay, enough hand signals.
Okay.
The general gist of what he was talking about for most of the people who would listen and weren't there. He talked quite a bit about love, but mostly,
Jesus.
yeah, how I'm not going to get into the whole details of this relationship he was talking about with people, but he was talking about how he reached a point with a friend where he was kind of like drawing a line in the sand, and he had this moment where Jesus was kind of like, "Hey, I wouldn't do that to you.
Yeah.
What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, jeez."
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd given
Yeah.
like so much of himself in this relationship, and he was like, "Okay, I'm not getting anything out of this. Like, it's only wearing me down. I'm putting my I don't know, my reputation at stake for things, all kinds of stuff."
Yeah, I really liked where he kind of like the message went here and there as it does, but when it all comes together at the end, it kind of convoluted to this big like.
Yeah, he gets paid to speak sometimes, so yeah.
Yeah, it like
He's super good.
Yeah, yeah.
hits you with this big. I feel bad and good
Right.
kind of moment where you're like, I should do that better, but man, I feel good for realizing I should do something better.
Yeah.
Patting myself on the back, but it feels really bad.
Yeah.
I'm patting myself on the bag. Sorry.
I don't know. Stop it.
I'm just gonna
What a transition.
throw in something like that every once in a while. Okay. That made me, so listening to that message made me think about, well, obviously the way that I pursue relationships in my own life, where oftentimes I'm looking to get something out of them, you know? It made me think a lot of, well, man, I don't want this to become too much of like a therapy session,
Right.
but like the way that I approach my relationships with women and stuff, not like that I'm looking to
To
yeah.
get something sexual in return.
sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, although that desire is there, obviously, but like it's.
Taco Bell.
I feel like I've been learning that lesson really hard over the last like year and a half. Like, I don't know, just tempering my expectations as
Sure.
far as like things I can get back, and really, like being, you know, living out the love of Christ or whatever is completely selfless. So there's none of that there, and I'm a human being, and I'm never gonna be perfect. Yeah, actually, dude, I think your Taco Bell has transferred to me as well.
Do you feel sick?
I feel sick. I didn't even eat it.
I feel fine.
Okay, that's it.
I just, my stomach is making all of these noises of hatred for what I did to it, and I apologize. I hope it can't be picked up by the mic.
Man, I really
You
hope it
apologize.
can. Oh, man.
I can't stand anything
It's gonna
about
spread.
What were we talking about?
My problems with relationships. Oh, but I have in the past given. I've been at that point where I've like. This is mostly when I was younger, but like I sort of dupe myself into thinking. Like, oh, you can give all of yourself with no real. I mean, you don't have to worry about the consequences of it at all because, you know, that's what Jesus would do. At least that was the sort of excuse that I would lean into. But really what it was, you know, I'm going to put up with a whole bunch of shit because this girl wants to have sex with me. That's great. For sec. Yeah. Which is not a good reason to do anything.
No, it's not.
I mean, it's a good reason to do some things, but not a good reason to put up with like a whole bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
A terrible person.
Yeah, a terrible person. Anyway, I don't know if none of that was really that got sort of unfocused there, but
I mean, kind of what I got out of the sermon was very different, where I was kind of from a different perspective, where, like, coming out of high school, I had friends who were, I mean, high school friends, where they didn't treat you good, or treat you well. They treated you
I wasn't
very
gonna
poorly.
say anything.
I mean, I caught it and it felt bad, so I was gonna say something.
That's fine.
They treat you poorly, and it feels bad, which is neither here nor there. I've gotten to a point where, like, they'll try to I have friends from high school try to contact you later, and you have this moment where you're like, oh god, where it's this person who you've, like, tried to block out of your mind forever because of horrible things they've done, and you're like, I don't want them right. And they'll be like, hey, we should all get together sometime soon. And what you want to say is, I'd rather buy a corkscrew and implant that in the front of my face. But what you say is, oh no, I think I'm busy.
Right.
I'm
busy studying.
Where I kind of realized what I should do instead is not go out of my way to be like, oh, well, they're bad people, I don't want to be around them anymore. And instead be like, well, be willing to maybe see them, because chances are everyone changes between high school and college, and everyone changes each year in high school and each year in college. Chances are they're like 100% different people, and if not, then I'll just leave. But
That's true.
not like, kind of what he was saying, not drawing a line in the sand where, like, I'll talk to them, but I don't want to, like, interact with them,
Right.
and instead actually being open to doing things with people.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's good. How about you?
What?
Nothing. You wear glasses.
So do
Are
I.
you drunk?
No. I'm
All
not
he had was a
drinking.
naked juice.
Yeah, all I had was that naked
That green
machine juice.
Did you
with
leave that bottle in my
spinach.
car?
Yeah. If you're driving me home, I'll take it out.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I think we all have a group.
You
of-
don't have to speak on that if you don't. Like, I'm sorry to put you on that. I
We're
was
gonna
like, how
edit-
about you? Now
Let's
you.
edit it out. No, we're not gonna edit it
Okay.
out. I think we all like have a group of friends that, like, as soon as there's that moment where it's like, well, I could spend time with this group of people, or I could just not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like there's that temptation to just be like, I'm washing my hands of this group because there's nothing beneficial
Yeah.
for me. And I think it's sort of, there's a difference between doing that because like you don't get anything out of it, and then there's a difference saying like there's nothing that you can do.
Yeah.
And I think it goes beyond just saying like, well, I'm only hanging out with this group of people because I want to help them with their faith or something like that. But going as far as saying, like, is this a group of people where you are where you have sort of the best brought out of you, and is this a group of people that you are feeding into as much as they're feeding into
Mhm.
you?
Yeah.
And I think if there's a sort of an imbalance in any of that, then it takes some re-angling or reconfiguring or new perspective to sort of change how you operate within that group.
Right.
And whether you decide, Taco Bell, whether you decide to continue engaging in that group. And I think I have a group of people that I'm, quote, friends, unquote, with, that I don't have any desire to spend time with 90% of them because they are
Kind of shitty.
horrible. Yeah, I mean, they have like, I don't know if it's a facade that they put up or what, but it's just like everything reverts back to how things operated in whenever I was friends with them.
Yeah.
And so, oh geez, your parents are back. So whenever it,
Mom, Dad.
whenever it turned, whenever I
That's
spend
me?
time with those people,
No, I don't know.
whenever I spend time with those people, it seems like how you were saying how everyone changes in high school and college, it seems like everything reverts back to that, but we're all adults now, so it's like
Such a stupid now.
right. So it's like we're acting like children, but we're pretending to be adults. Like we're doing adult things in childish ways.
I feel like that's just life.
What a hot take. Let's add a transition, right?
All right.
Okay. Transition. Next
Sorry.
topic.
I actually think that's a valid point.
I'm gonna have to add into the actual podcast what I'm about to say. I've had this thought where like there's a difference where like the group of people from my high school I don't want to hang out with is because around my sophomore year of high school, I remember being this person who was like really on fire for Jesus kind of thing. And then things happened wherein like I went from having like a large group of friends, and then within like a month or two, suddenly they were all like, "Oh, you can go to hell," and I was like,
Well,
what happened? And that just like threw me way off track,
they were
Yeah.
right.
and I lost track of just like everything about where I was going.
Yeah.
And so now when that group of friends is like, we should all get together, part of me is like,
No,
I want nothing to do with you guys. You guys ruined my life for 2 years. It took me getting out
Yeah.
of... Got to the point where I was like, it was my senior year of high school, like in my parents, it was like after the first semester, I'm like, can I just change schools? Because I have nothing here for me. They're like, it's a Christian school. I'm like, yeah, I have a Bible class with people who told me to go to hell. Like,
Yeah.
I want nothing to do with that.
Right.
I'm like, and so there's a difference between like me not wanting to hang out with them because they did bad things, or just not wanting to hang out because I'm like, I don't feel like hanging out. Chances are, the 2 or 3 people who caused this whole instigation have probably changed quite a bit, and so I have no reason to be like, well, I mean, I suppose you could say I have a reason to hold a grudge, but I shouldn't be holding a grudge, and I shouldn't have
Right.
drawn this line in the sand where I'm like,
Right.
I don't want to hang out with them because they did this horrible thing to me like 3 years ago.
right.
Yeah.
And so you have to reach this point where I'm like, I shouldn't have drawn this line in the sand for all those years and just cut all these people off from high school. And I'm like, I should have done probably the opposite of that and just, like, not held a grudge for so long. And it was like all this moment where Jason was speaking, I was just like, it blew my mind, and I was like, it's so obvious. I don't know how I didn't see that earlier. And you're like, this isn't a Jason said this, which made me have this reaction. You're like, God had Jason say this, but what happened, it was over here. God made that sound like this to me.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Which is like very different, which is I think allowed Jason to say this message. And every single person in this whole area heard it 100% different.
Oh yeah, and he even acknowledged that. He was like, people are probably going to get a whole bunch of different stuff out of what I'm talking about here.
He covered a wide range of topics, which was really good.
Yeah, it's good.
And on a happy note, I asked my boss, Sean, to give me Sundays and Thursdays off from now on.
Dope.
And he was like, okay. So I'm not going to work Sundays or Thursdays.
Go to hell, you die.
And I was like,
go to hell, you die.
And he's like, what? He's like, any reason you don't want to work Sundays and Thursdays? He's like, taking a class online. I'm like, just
Also church.
I want to go to church. I'm like, technically the schedule says I should work every other Sunday, and I've worked every Sunday for 4 months. So if I change my availability, he wrote down that I have office hours for my class on a Sunday, how and why, but it's so his boss Heather and her boss Brandon will go, oh, okay, he doesn't have to be there that day. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Cool, man.
Any other heckin' topics to talk about, boys?
I don't have any topics. I gotta pee, though.
So I was playing Minecraft today.
You were?
I was. I played very momentarily because I'm working on like maps and descriptions for the campaign.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
We do D&D.
Here, I gotta pee.
Yeah, go pee.
Keep talking.
We do D&D because we're quote big heckin' nerds, and
that's fine.
I'm the biggest heckin' nerd because I'm the one who's creating everything. And so I'm working on a map and like a description of these locations, and so I was thinking that I was going to use Minecraft to like make the castle, but then I realized like halfway through it that I was like, okay, this is going to take 1,000,000 years.
Yeah.
So I stopped, but then I started looking through all the other worlds that I'd made in the past. I hope it picks it up.
I really hope.
I hope you can hear Graham peeing in the background
because we can really hear it.
He has very heavy flow. Yeah, it's pretty gross. Ugh. Anyway, so I found
castles.
I found one that I had made, and it was just like a gigantic. I built this base in a giant desert.
Sick.
And if anyone had, if it were possible to 100% Minecraft, vanilla Minecraft, that was the world I did it on. Because it was a dark place in my life. I had chests full of weapons, like the best weapons that you could get, chests full of armor. I had a chicken farm that was basically a bunch of chickens suspended over water that would flow. They would drop eggs into the water, and it would bring the eggs to a hopper, which would put them into a chest.
That's so cool.
And then I had a machine where all I had to do was mash seeds into the soil, and it would give me wheat back, which I could make into bread. I made a spawner for animals that would drop them to a certain height, and then I could run in and kill whatever was left and get the experience from it so that I could chant more things. I was a freaking nerd. Then I discovered that I built a railroad in this world that literally takes 10 minutes of real time to travel from start to finish. Oh. Which means that I made all of the tracks. I laid every block. I put down all of the track. I put all of the necessary redstone. I built another location for it to go to. And this train has a spot that's a big hill that has rainbow colors all the way up to the top. It's really cool. And then all the way back down.
It sounds beautiful, man.
I'm ashamed. That had to take so much time. Just wasted. It's not worth it.
Well, but
I have an entire pen of horses. All of them are tamed. I have a pen of cows. I have a pen of sheep. I have a pen of pigs. I have a gigantic castle that I built out of sandstone. There's a gigantic hole in the ground that I made a glass base into. That's where I keep my chicken, or my chicken chests, my
Chicken
egg,
chests?
my egg chest. I told him when
Yeah.
we were peeing. I made a farm where it's a bunch of chickens suspended over water, and they lay eggs, and the eggs land into water, and the water brings them to a little dropping point to drop them into a hopper, which puts it into a chest.
that's crazy. I'm sorry, man.
Why? Why did I do this?
I don't know. Why have I done any of the things that I've done? I've wasted so much of my time.
I made a swimming pool and filled it with squids.
That's awesome, though. That's great, dude. That's worth one. I made a swimming pool and filled it with squids.
which the height that I put it at, squids don't spawn. So that means that I made a very, very deep pool of water and then slowly filled and waited for squids to spawn at the depth and then filled up the bottom until it was high.
I love that.
Well, I mean, I don't know, man.
We shouldn't end on that. We should cut it out entirely.
If you want to, we can.
No, we should leave it in. Everyone should know my shame.
All right, what's my shame?
I'm being more vulnerable.
I mean, I talked about how I think we've all been a little
This
bit
won't be
vulnerable.
the question that we do, but what's something that you spent a whole lot of time on that was either not worth it or you're like ashamed of?
All my
Like,
relationships.
or something.
Oh, I'm just kidding. I'm not all of them.
Or something that you were really, really proud of at the time, but now you're just like, you can't stand to look at it.
My first major band.
What? Radio Shack?
Oh, no, that's a major band.
I mean, you should
man.
be ashamed of Radio Shack. But
I am, but I more just think that's funny at this point.
are you talking about Buff?
Yeah, I'm not really ashamed of it. It's just, I mean, I can't really listen to it without, like,
Screaming
without,
internally.
yeah, like turning inside out. But
Shriveling.
yeah, it was a learning experience. That's for sure. I also, like, as a songwriter and musician and everything, I think I've grown in a lot of ways. So I mean, it's always kind of embarrassing to look back on like things you've written in the past or
Right.
movies you've made in the past or whatever pieces of art I don't know, the poetry that I wrote like in early college is terrible.
Sounds really bad. I think I have a notebook of a couple of songs that you wrote in middle school.
I have a notebook of a couple songs that I wrote in middle school too, and those are 10 times worse than anything I did in Buffalo. So I've always got that. But no, it was actually.
Stow your
I mean,
shame away.
I have them. I kept them. I forced myself to read through it. I don't know
then
for
you,
some
like,
reason.
You swat your hands.
No, bad job, bad boy.
No, do better.
But you know, amidst all the sort of cringy moments that I had in Buffalo, I also had a really awesome time, and I went on a few tours, and we, you know, spent thousands of dollars that we shouldn't have spent pressing records.
And making video cassette tapes.
No, those were worthwhile investments. Those all sold.
Well, did they?
Yeah, we came out on top on those.
Well,
That makes
Torrin can't get with the fact that cassettes actually sell.
you're right. I can't. I refuse to.
I mean, that's fine, but I have hard data that says that they do.
I don't care.
Okay.
Well, how about you? Anything that you're ashamed of from your past?
I'm debating if there's ones I'm ashamed of that I want to talk about on a podcast.
Right, you don't have to talk about it on the
Yeah.
podcast.
I used to have a gigantic porn collection.
No, that's
No,
not
I
it.
still do. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just no longer ashamed. No, that's not it at all.
I'm kidding about all that. Or some of it. You'll never know.
Man, I mean, I
What a mystery.
did a lot of art on computers, and I still make a lot of logos online just in my free time.
The PDT one is great.
It's great.
Man, I look
If
back.
you haven't seen the PDT podcast logo,
Look at your screen.
I mean, yeah, you should have seen it by now. What are you doing here, really?
I look at some of the older ones.
Yeah, also, where are you right now?
Yeah.
Please tell us. We want to know.
How did you find this? The old, not that they're necessarily just. I mean, they're bad.
Yeah.
Not like I look at them and I cringe. I'm just like, oh man, the idea was bad. I
The
cringe at the
idea was
idea
bad.
behind the logo, not the logo itself. And I'm like, I can make a better one of this, but I'm like, no, I really couldn't.
Yeah.
It's real bad. I mean, there's other stuff, but it's just not stuff I want to get into on a podcast.
Yeah, I've got plenty of skeletons. I don't want it coming out of the closet.
Yeah.
I feel like there are plenty of stories that I have written that that if I redid them, they would actually not be too bad. Where it's like conceptually and plot-wise, they were fine, but my writing was just poor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I wrote a story once of... It was a chapter of something, I think, where it was a guy and a girl with classic UST, unrequited sexual tension, and they
Classic.
had to share separate rooms in a hotel room.
Mhm.
So it was like a hotel room with 2 bedrooms.
That's
and they
very
were like
proper.
they were like pining for each other. And it's like 20 minutes worth of time, and it's like 8 pages. Because it was just like, he was feeling this, and more of this, and lots of this, and he imagined doing all of these things, and there was this, and this, and this, and
Sounds
this.
steamy.
And then the girl was like, I wish that he would do this, and this, and this, and this, and I was thinking
I wish
this,
he'd
and this, and this.
take a little dip in my stuff.
There was nothing sexual in it. But it was like he was, and he was just like pacing around the room, and he would talk about like, oh, I'm imagining the guy she'll end up with someday, that he's going to be way better than me, and all this other stuff, and the kids that she'll have, and
Yeah.
all this other stuff. And I'm like, man, just cut that shit, man.
Yeah.
You don't need it.
You know, it's funny.
I could have written this in like a page, and it would have
Yeah,
been fine.
right. Could have been a microfiction. It would have
Yeah.
been great. Yeah, that's just the angst.
It was dope.
And I mean, on the line of like
I still have
writings, don't we all?
I'm dead inside.
There are stories that I've written that I'm very proud of,
Mm-hmm.
but like, if I was to tell like, man, the general public, or probably also even you guys about them, I'd feel very cringy about them. But to like people that have that same interest, I'm very proud of that writing.
Sure.
And if they read it, they're like, "This is good. This is a good idea." And I'm like, "Yeah, I just lack the natural writing talent because I don't have that."
I used to write fan fiction. Like, I used to write fan fiction. I don't
Yeah.
anymore because I find it a waste of my time. But I used to write a lot of it.
Did you write Howl's Moving Bus Castle?
No, I wish I had. What do you think
About
of
to.
me?
I'm about
It
to.
already exists. It's a treasure.
Yeah, it is a treasure.
Debatable.
And like the amount of time that I spent on the on that on the fan fiction that I wrote is way too much time.
Yeah.
And to people who, like, I have a fanfiction.net account, and I still get emails from them being like, this person liked your story. And I'm like, God, what story was that?
Nice. That's actually
Right.
kind of cool, man.
And so people are like, hey, people within this community appreciate what you're doing. And then I'm like, but I don't.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of where I'm at, where there's like, again, I'm not going to get into what it actually is for the sake of me feeling better about myself.
Sure.
There is this, we'll just say like, there's this expansive universe, and I've kind of had this branch off with someone else where we've written like this side thing where it's related, but it's not the same thing. And there's our own kind of expansive universe that I think is just really cool.
Mm.
And the amount of work that's put into it and like just stories are really cool. But if pretty much anyone that isn't like one of 3 people were like, hey, tell me about this universe, I'd be like,
No.
man,
I won't.
I'll be like, how about I go jump off a cliff? Where it's like the same thing I said before, where you're really proud of it,
Right.
but if someone who you feel like would read that and go,
Right.
it would then be like, I'm really proud of this. And someone goes, eh. And that just like
It just
echoes
crushes
through
you.
your head, and you're like,
Right.
oh no.
I used to, when I had no friends, and a few years ago, I wrote with people online because I was like, they want to write, I want to write. It's not like, let's write these two dudes doing each other. But it was like, let's write.
Let's write two dudes doing each other, but wait, they're animals. Oh my god.
Let's write
Furry
like
fan
these
fiction.
people going on an adventure. And I was like, okay, I'm into that.
Yeah.
And so I wrote with, and so out of that I created like a couple of universes, like you were saying.
Yeah.
And I wrote this short story that involved all the characters going to this thing, and it was like it's not worth getting into. But I showed it to my mom because I was like, I think this is well written. It's not fan fiction. It's not bad.
Yeah.
I showed it to my mom, and she was like, it's well written. And I was like,
Oof.
ouch. You could have just said it's nice and then just leave me alone, because that's pretty much what it
Because
is.
I'm bleeding into the carpet.
Right. I adore my mother, but as
I
far as
adore Susan
encouragement-
too.
Yeah, your
I
mom's
mean, my
great.
mother. But also your mother's pretty nice. I mean, she's okay.
Yeah, she's
Hot
alright.
take.
Kidding. Well, that puts us at about the right time.
Let's end on a happy note.
Yeah, let's end on a happy note.
What's
How
a good
about
question for next
hypothetical?
week?
Let's do. Well, we have to do the question from last week.
Oh yeah.
Let's make that a happy note. Oh, the question from last week. What was it? I wasn't involved last
You
week.
weren't
2
involved
weeks
last
ago.
week. What 2 video games do you want to see crossover?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And what would the genre be?
Your answer was?
I said Halo, Barbie's Horse Adventure, and it would be a fighting game.
Awesome. Andrew, what did you say?
I cannot remember. It was 2 weeks ago.
I think I could come up with a better one.
I
but
put
that's
a
the
lot
one
of
I'm
thought
working
into an
with.
answer about 3 days ago, and I was like, that's a really solid answer. But I was laying in bed trying to fall asleep, so it was probably really bad.
I think, if I remember hearing right, Jackie wanted Lego games
Everything.
mixed with Overwatch.
It was pretty much just Lego
Over
plus
Lego
anything.
Overwatch. Oh, okay.
Lego
Yeah.
Stardew Valley, Lego Overwatch, Lego Halo, Lego literally anything.
Nerd.
Yeah, what a
I
freaking
mean,
nerd.
That's fine. I love Jackie. Song.
Yeah, she's great.
Jackie Song. Tune in next week to hear how her
Surprise party.
secret surprise party went.
Yeah, I opened the door shut. Good.
It is.
Yeah, tune in next week. We'll talk about that. Maybe we'll have her on again.
Yeah, I'm going to be in New
Talk
York.
about how surprised she
true.
was.
You'll be in New York. Maybe we'll have Yaki's on.
You should have Jackie Song. She's my favorite song.
Hey, it's offensive to me. I'm a song every now and then.
So So the question for this week. What is something either very odd or very specific that you really enjoy, or that you really like? An example would be something.
So
like,
you're asking what is my fetish?
not necessarily, but like
Question's not what do you sexually enjoy?
for example, if there's like if you were to search for an ASMR video,
Right.
what would it be? Like, what sound would it be?
Right. It's actually really funny because when you said what's something really odd and specific that you would look for, or that you would enjoy, I was like, I feel like we're gonna talk about ASMR here.
But that's because that's pretty much what ASMR
Right.
is. It's like, this is the sound of an Apple 3.1 booting up and me lightly rubbing my fingers on the keyboard.
I
It's
feel like
okay, what market is this
ASMR has become this like all encompassing thing where
Yeah.
like originally it was like, okay, well, you know that sort of tingly feeling you get on your back when you heard like your 4th grade teacher like tap on a chalkboard
Right.
with a stick or something. It's like really specific like that, and it's like, oh, that tingly feeling. Now it's like, oh, I'm gonna play Overwatch. You're getting ASMR, right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so something like that.
Yeah.
And I think ASMR is
an example, but it doesn't have to be the answer.
Right, yeah, I'm not going to talk about ASMR.
Yeah.
Wait, so ask the question one more time.
What's something we can do? This can be sort of like a two-parter. What's something either very odd or very specific that you either secretly or unsecretly or openly enjoy? Or what's something either odd or specific that you really hate?
The hate one's really easy. There's these videos that are going around online of people like kinetic sand. They take a knife and they go right through it.
And they cut it?
I've never experienced a worse form of anxiety. When I had a friend sitting down, like, you gotta watch these with me. I was sitting down, and I had a panic attack sitting there watching. I was just like, it started off, and I was like, okay. And I hear this, like, just like, and it just, like, I felt bad, and the worst, I just, like, had this horrible anxiety. I'm like, I can't do this. And my roommate was like, what? And, like, I just left. He was like,
what?
He thought it was the best thing ever, and I'm like, Connor, you cannot watch
Is
that
it
when I'm in the room.
supposed to be, like, one of those, like, oddly satisfying things?
Where, like, they cut the sand, or, like, do it in reverse, where it shows, like, they're pulling the knife out and the sand comes together.
Right.
Those just give me just the worst anxiety.
Yeah.
The thing that I hate is getting your fingernail caught on like a blanket or something.
Oh, I hate that too.
I hate that because genuinely, there was one time where I moved my hand and it caught a blanket on my bed and I almost threw up.
Whoa.
Like, I don't know why it creates that reaction, but it's just like that slight like tug when you have that tiny little chip in your nail.
Yep.
And it gets caught on something. It's just such like a guttural reaction of like, I need this to stop or I need to throw up. And I don't know which is going to happen at first. And it's like, and then as soon as it happens, you're like, man, I freaked out about that and I don't know why.
Interesting.
So what's something you hate?
I'm trying to think of something that I hate.
I can say an example of something I like.
Yeah, keep going around. Let's see if I can think of something more.
I strangely love the feeling of having my feet in water.
That's a good one.
Not like specifically in a pool or like standing on the beach and the tide is coming in, but even like when I was a kid, I used to fill a tub up with water, bring it to the living room, and just watch TV with my feet in it.
I love that.
That's
that
great,
was the kind
man.
of thing.
That sounds relaxing.
Yeah.
Nowadays, if you just added a beer to that, it sounds perfect.
It was never a situation where it was like I had like my feet were unhealthy, so I needed to soak them.
Or it's like, man, my dogs are barking.
Right.
Just
or like
random.
my feet are really tired. I should soak them and it will feel better. It's just like, I enjoy this feeling.
Yeah.
There's no medical reason for me to be doing it.
Yeah.
But I just like it, and so
That's
I'm going
really
to do
good,
it.
man. I like that. I like that a lot.
For things that I like, when I was in high school, I did a lot of track.
I did a lot of drugs.
I mean, no, but I ran a lot of track, and then eventually I got to the point where I had to throw because I have these my legs don't work. When I do any amount of running, I get these horrible shin splints to the point where I had stress fractures in both of my shins to end out my junior year, or more towards the beginning, and I ran all of them through half a season, and I was like, I should stop doing hurdles. That's bad. And so they were like, I mean, the coaches are like, you could do throwing, I guess. And so I was doing that. But what I liked was ice baths. I love ice baths. They used to have this giant tub that I wish I had one of here. It was like, if I just like sat down and just kind of sank in, it just come right up to my neck, and I would just sit in this really cold water. Most people on the team would just be like, I cannot do this. This is painful. I'm just sitting there, I'm like, this is great. I'd sit in there with like this like in running shorts and like a tank top, just sit in there, and they're like, all right, Andrew, you're good. And I'm like, I'm gonna stick around a little bit. And they're like, yeah, no. I'm like, no, we'll stay in. They're like, we're all getting out to stretch. You're gonna get tight. I'm like, yeah, I'll stretch later. This is great.
It's like 2 minutes.
And so I ended up having, because I was icing my legs when I came home too, I had to get these tall trash cans, fill them with ice water, and I would just like have to sit there and just stand in them, which was really weird, but it felt great. And so I would just like stand in this trash can full of ice water and like watch TV or play a video game.
Like even when I'm like even when I'm in bed, something with feet, I think. Even when I'm in bed and I have like that one foot that's out, it's either like terrifying or I need it to not be in the blanket. I'm not sure. It depends on the night. After I came home from Alien Covenant, I was not like, oh, there's an alien somewhere, but I was like, cover up a little bit extra tonight.
Yeah.
I wasn't freaked out. I was just like, let's keep our wits about us.
Yeah.
Let's keep our wits about us here. Just stay a little bit alert.
Right.
I cannot for the life of me think of anything.
Anything you just really hate when it happens.
Even something like very specific.
Well, that's what I'm trying to think of, is something really specific.
There had to be
Well-
something that you experienced like on tour or at a concert or...
Well, you're thinking I'm gonna throw.
Oh, well...
no, he's got it.
I mean, here's something really specific. It's not specific to me, though. It's just...
That's fine.
So, when, how do I explain this?
Yeah, to us uncultured barbarians.
No, it's not even that. It's just like, it's kind of a...
The culture barbarian. Just worked down some Taco Bell earlier.
I feel so bad.
I wish I would have torqued down some Taco Hell.
Talk of hell.
Taco Hell.
Oh, God.
I'm leaving.
Wow. Now that I'm thinking about shows, I haven't been to a show in a while.
Good.
Mailboxes was my last show. It's all sort of... So, just...
Spit it out. God.
Don't spit that out.
Part of the problem is, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to say, and so I'm trying to come up with it on the spot still.
I'll
Still trying to
throw one
improvise.
more
Toss it
out
out.
there. Something I hate.
Okay.
I have this very vivid memory of me around 6th grade. I had this backpack on as I was leaving school. My mom was picking me up from school. I was trying to get this backpack off, and I couldn't for the life of me. I think someone had pulled the straps on the back to tighten it up. I could not get the backpack off.
Straight jacket.
Yes. I've gotten to this point where that freaked me out so bad in that moment. If I have something stuck on me and I cannot get it off, it freaks me out beyond all reason. It could be like, oh, I can't get this sleeve. Like, I can't get my arm out of the sleeve. I have this moment where I have to, like, stop and be like, Andrew, you have to stop and calm down. It's a shirt. Like, you're fine. It's just a moment where it's like that thing where you're like, you have this moment of panic, like, I can't get out. Oh my God. And you're like, well, it's a backpack. So, you're fine. Something like that. But,
You got it?
I came up with both
Got it.
in
start with
that
what you
short
hate.
amount of time. All right, the one that I hate. Okay, so these both do have to... They pertain to live concerts and stuff.
Sick.
So,
You spent
there's
a good
that-
chunk of your time doing that. So.
I did.
Yeah.
So the thing that I hate is when a guy is up there playing guitar, or a girl, doesn't matter. Who gives a shit? Somebody's playing guitar up there.
I don't.
And they're playing this beautiful clean tone, right? And then there's the build up. You're like, okay, they're about to crank on the distortion, like it's gonna be huge.
Right.
And they click it on, and guess what? Sound volume might stay the same, but all the bottom end drops out. And it's just really thin and stupid sounding.
Like anemic.
Yeah, I hate that. Can't
Yeah.
stand it. And it's more common than you'd think. Like,
I believe it.
you'd think like it's really not that difficult to like listen to your tone and be like, okay, well maybe I should just like boost the low end
Do
a
they
little bit
fix
more.
it at all, or do they just leave it?
Just leave it.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Bad. It's really bad. And the thing that I absolutely love is in this sort of in a certain brand of like loud, noisy guitar music or whatever. There's a certain kind of feedback that you can get where you actually shove your strings into the pickup so that they're making contact with the metal, and it's just this piercing like screeching noise. And
That sounds
well
great.
placed. That is so awesome. Like, I don't know what it is that I love about it, but like I would do it. I would overuse that, really. Like in a lot of songs, like there'd be a pause or something, and then I just like squish my strings and my pickups, and it's just like this. And it is so noisy and gnarly sounding. And then you come back in. I love it. I don't know.
Man.
Yeah.
That sound needs to be a transition, I think.
It's
That's
way better than
amazing.
that. I can't do it justice. It's obvious. Obviously can't do it.
All right. Anything else?
This has been PDT Podcast, man. I feel like my mental capacity is like half.
Plummeting.
Yeah, plummeting
Yeah,
drastically.
We're recording a little bit later than usual, so
True.
that happens.
All right. We're signing off.
This is gonna be really bad. It makes us an actual-
Bum, 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 bum.